In this video, I'm going to discuss the pre-World War II events that are corresponding to Unit 5, Day 3 lesson, Key Players of World War II. As I discuss each of these events, remember the key leaders you just discussed and read about, and consider how they might respond to the events that you're hearing. So in 1918, World War II ends. By 1919, the Allied powers are creating the Treaty of Versailles. So Germany, which had surrendered at the end of the war, was completely blamed for World War I, and they were forced to pay $33 billion in reparations to the Allied powers, reduce the size of their military, and give up a lot of their control of a lot of their territory and colonies. So not only did the Treaty of Versailles seriously blame and affect Germany, the United States rejects the treaty and refuses to join the League of Nations, which weakens the League of Nations because one of the major world powers isn't a part of it. By 1923, it had gotten so bad in Germany that their money marks, the value of it significantly inflated. A loaf of bread in 1921 sold for 5 marks. By 1923, it sold for 1 billion marks. People were literally carrying wheelbarrows filled with money down the street to pay for food. And in this picture, you see a woman is just burning the money because it was more valuable as fuel for fires than it was to buy what you needed. But it wasn't just Germany. It definitely impacted the Great Depression across Europe. And in this chart, you see those are the lines showing unemployment in European countries. Green is Germany. So that means 6 million people in 1932 were unemployed in Germany. A serious economic depression is hitting the globe at this point. So between 1922 and 1933, military dictatorships are established in Italy and Japan. You've got Mussolini in Italy, and you've got Hideki Dojo in Japan, and that's going to set up the ground for military aggression in the beginning of World War II. 1934. By 1934, Adolf Hitler becomes a major player in German politics. His philosophy is that you have to oppose the Treaty of Versailles and blame Jews, Democrats, communists for Germany's problems. And he builds up the nationalism, the love for one's nation in Germany, and claims that everyone else is inferior, but especially the Jews. He also really is starting to gain his political power. So he gains seats in his party, the Nazi Party, gains seats in German parliament, and then he is appointed the chancellor. Eventually, he uses his power to declare an emergency and become the dictator in Nazi Germany. And between 1931 and 1938, around the same time Hitler's taking over, Japan is starting to really expand. So they seize Manchuria from China, and Italy is starting to expand as well. They invade Ethiopia, and Germany starts to move its troops into the Rhineland, which was a territory that had been demilitarized by the Treaty of Versailles. By 1936, Hitler and Benito Mussolini of Italy form an alliance. They call themselves the Axis powers, and Japan later joins. So that's going to be the 3 major powers in one side of the World War. In 1935, Hitler is launching his campaign against German Jews. He starts by restricting their rights so that they can't hold certain jobs or interact with other Germans, and then he escalates to encouraging violence or anti-Semitic acts against Jewish property, and then his final step is to arrest the German Jews and send them to concentration or death camps. In 1938, Hitler demands that Czechoslovakia turn over the Sudetenland region, arguing that the area has a lot of German people. Great Britain and France see this as an act of war and argue, but they end up appeasing him by saying, okay, you can have this area, but nothing more. This is called appeasement, and it's a big issue in the beginning of World War II. Not surprisingly, Hitler doesn't stop in Czechoslovakia, and by 1939, he invades Poland. That is the trigger for the beginning of World War II. So right after he invades Poland, Great Britain and France declare war on Germany, and the war begins.